Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/slash Tales from Tech Support. In today's episode, why can't I do this? Because I said so. It is not a password issue. Email ethics? But I want that message back. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. Why can't I do this? Because I said so. So I work in the medical IT industry for fairly sized hospital. For the most part, one actually really like my job except for the handful of troublemaker users that pop up time to time. But today I had a problem that came and that was particularly juicy. Now let's call the user Edgar. Edgar is a generally nice person to talk to and a fairly smart person at that. The only problem is Edgar thinks their knowledge professionally extends into fields they don't know much about. For example, they will argue with me about how certain things like sending patient info via scanned documents through software is literal faxing. So I get a ticket from Edgar stating that they want their screen to not time out as quick as it currently does, and have the fix applied to all of the PCs in their department. Well, even I could make some snips and changes in the registry to make this happen, it would get wiped out by the group policy in place within at least 24 hours, and on top of that, not only is the amount of time requested that the timeout occur is well beyond those that could be susceptible to creating a security risk, it also can and could potentially violate HIPAA. Now, as a little preface to this issue, I would like to add I have been asked to do this before for several people, and have explained this without issue. Edgar, on the other hand, is different, because I simply mentioned the fact that it could be done via registry edits. They were insistent that it needed to be done, despite the fact it violates security protocol and violates the HIPAA agreement. I tell Edgar that I am simply not comfortable with performing this fix for this issue, as the repercussions for doing this can result in termination for myself. Edgar doesn't care. Edgar wants the timeout to be longer because it takes too long to log in and is affecting patient care. Now Edgar doesn't work in the OR or the emergency room. I have no justification for the support group that sets group policy in place to make this a reality for them. Edgar still insists. I explain to them I am not comfortable with doing this, and I have been asked to do this before and have declined. It's a security and HIPAA violation. Edgar states that I am not professionally trained to make that assumption. This could be true, as I am not a medical professional, but I am a certified network technician. I then have to explain why this creates such a massive security risk to Edgar. I spend over an hour explaining this information to them. Edgar still cannot get over the fact that I even remotely mentioned that it is a possibility that it could be done via registry edits, but again would be wiped out by group policy within 24 hours if done, which I regret letting slip out of my mouth. There's basically no point for me to do this if it could be done. Edgar does not care. They want me to increase the timeout for their screen as if it was their last wish. Now, like I said earlier, I am not a medical professional, but I do know that patients can be frustrating to deal with, and sometimes there is a sense of urgency when collecting patient information. I am certified network technician and proceed to pull out my Network Plus and Security Plus CompTIA certificates out of my wallet and slide them across the table to show them proof of qualifications. Sadly, I've had to do this a number of times with different users. I explain to them what the certificates mean, and that if they do not feel that I am qualified to perform the task they have asked, I will gladly reassign the ticket to someone they do feel is qualified. Edgar immediately backpedals and says that they are sorry. Let's start over. At this point, the damage had already been done. I'm done talking by now and begin to pack up my equipment into my bag and repeat, if you do not feel that I am qualified to troubleshoot this issue, I will gladly have your ticket reassigned to someone that you feel is. Edgar then exclaims, why can't you increase the timeout? I then reply with, because I said so. I do not normally treat customers this way, but I was at my wit's end with trying to explain to this person why I cannot increase the time out of their computer, much less to the other PCs in the rest of the department. Needless to say, and to wrap up the story, I submitted a complaint to Edgar's manager stating that if they were to treat me this way and call me unprofessional/unqualified, that I would not be willing to assist them with further IT issues. I don't expect respect from my customers, but I do expect common decency. I don't tell them that they are not qualified for their position and expect the same in return. Sorry for the long post, it's been a long day, and I needed to vent to something. It is not a password issue. It's been a little bit since my last post, but I really gotta say I love my job security. Only 2 players here, just me and user. Background: I work for an MSM, doing outsourced help desk for various companies. For most of my clients, I provide Tier 1 support. Anything outside what our SLA states gets escalated to that user's company's Tier 2. User: hi, I'm having trouble with software. I was on the VPN, got kicked out, logged back in, and now I can't access the application. Can you help me? Me: certainly. It sounds like it could be a network password issue. Check AD, password just changed 2 weeks ago. I see you just changed your password recently. Did you happen to use winter, spring, summer, fall, autumn password, or welcome in your password? User: I used fall, but it let me back into the system, so software should still be letting me in. I need you to get me into software. Me: I understand, however, fall is a blacklisted password, goes into spiel about why it's blacklisted, top 7 words in English according to Google and Microsoft, yada yada yada. Usually around the 2 to 3 week mark, the server does an assessment of sorts, and when it catches a blacklisted password, it starts kicking you out of the VPN and any other network app. It will. User: but I'm still in the network. Just please, get me back into software. Me: okay, but without a password reset, I'll have to escalate you to Tier 2 so they can poke around and see what else might be happening. However, since you were booted from the VPN, that tells me it's a password issue. User: it is not a password issue. Repeat this password 3 more times, with her refusing to change her password because she's currently in the network, and also refusing to be escalated. Me: okay, so let me put it this way, today, you get booted from the network, but it lets you back in temporarily. Without a password change, you're going to have your account locked by the server on a weekly basis for the next few weeks. After that time, the server will not permit you access to the network. User: fine. Doubtful tone of voice, but lets me know she's just humoring me. Let's go ahead and change my password. But I'm telling you it's not going to work. I guide her through changing the password. She tries to log into that software immediately without waiting for my instructions to sync her machine to the network. User: see. I told you. Me: ignoring her interruption, okay, so the password is changed. Now you need to lock your computer, then unlock it using your new password. Software should let you in after that. User grumbles: fine. I'll try it one more time. Hey. It worked. I'm in. Thanks. Bye. Click. Conversation, 24 minutes long. I kid you not, 20 minutes later, her husband calls in with a very similar issue. He also had recently changed his network password, and was only locked out of his account. I explained the issue, he was totally cool about changing his password, and he had no issue logging in after that. Total time with him, 5 minutes. Email, ethics? But I want that message back. This story was sparked by various email and compliance posts recently seen. In my previous job as a sysadmin at a public university, I had an interesting event with an email message. In this job, my direct supervisor was a faculty member, above him was the department chairperson. The chairperson, we'll call them Big Boss, was not a real nuts and bolts computer person, more of a mathematician. Big Boss was very smart, but also had some rather fanciful expectations, and I could write a dozen posts easily on crazy stuff I was asked to do. We had a 2-person support team, and Big Boss probably generated 20% of our projects. Anyway, I'm in my office one day, working on something, no fires burning, all is well, and Big Boss come hustling in. Big Boss, I need some help right away. Big Boss is looking kind of nervous, he's shifting from foot to foot, looking around, acting kind of guilty. Me, sure, what I can do for you? Big Boss, I sent an email and copied someone by mistake. I want you stop the message from getting to that person. Me, if the person is not on our local system, it's too late, it's already gone. I'm thinking, wow, this has some serious ethical implication. I've never dealt with this type of thing. But this is Big Boss, so I kind of have to do what they want. Big Boss, no, it went to Professor, and it shouldn't have. We used an box type system, so I knew the message would be basically a text file. I'm wondering if I can just delete it or edit it. Will that mess things up? I'm not really an expert on the MTA we used. Plus there's the whole ethics question. Whose message is it now? Is it Big Boss's or Professor's? Right now it's just some bits on our mail server. But Big Boss is standing over me right now, wringing his hands and looking at me expectantly. I log into the mail server and start paging the logs. I explain that the logs don't show the message content, but when did he send the message, who was it to besides Professor, I need that information to find the entry. Big Boss give me the info, and I find the log entry. I'm paging a back and forth in the log, and then see that Professor had accessed and read mail after Big Boss's message was delivered. So now the message is in Professor's mail folder. Me, your message got delivered, but Professor has now copied it into their mail folders. I don't know they have actually read it, but I don't feel comfortable going into their files without their permission. We had a rules of sysadmin conduct understanding that we did not look at folks' home directories unless the data was obviously public, like web pages, or we had permission, or we were investigating possible misconduct and had sign-off from the university legal team and or data security team. Big Boss just stood there for a few seconds. They knew I was doing the correct thing and could not really order me to try and drill down and kill this message. Big Boss kind of looked into the distance, sighed, thanked me and left. I don't know what Big Boss ended up doing, probably eating some humble pie with Professor, but I didn't hear any more about it.